Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis, and this is the Dr. Ardis Show. And man, am I excited to hang out with you today. This entire presentation is about one of my favorite medical diagnoses called multiple sclerosis and what is not exactly taught to neurologists could absolutely be causing you or your loved ones multiple sclerosis symptoms. It's a topic I actually have loved talking about, loved researching as I tried to help people in my own practice reverse their autoimmune diseases, because very often what's causing most, if not all, of MS patients, their suffering is also creating a lot of the chronic illnesses we see being diagnosed in people throughout America and around the world. And that cause for those symptoms and diseases is actually a topic most medical doctors get very few hours learning anything about, and that is parasites. So we're going to be talking about multiple sclerosis today, abbreviated MS. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with the complications and symptoms that accompany people being diagnosed with MS, please share this broadcast with them. Also, as a reminder, if this information could be life-saving, life-improving for you or someone you know, if you go to the drardisshow.com and go to the resources tab, on that tab will be little blue boxes with a title of every one of my PowerPoints I present. That has all the documented research studies, highlighted anecdotes. All of it is found for free in an easy downloadable button that produces a PDF you can download, save to your computer, or forward by email to those you love if you think this information could be life-saving for them, which I bet it will, because it's probably something you've never seen. All right, so it is called, let's go to our PowerPoint actually. Every single one of our PowerPoint presentations are downloadable at the resources tab at the Dr. Ardis Show. That's where you can do more of your own research. I will not be able to highlight and read every statement from each of these research studies in this 35-minute or so presentation. So please consider going to the resources tab, downloading the presentation so you can spend your own time diving through the literature so you can make more informed decisions and more powerful conversations with your neurologist or your loved one if they've been diagnosed with MS. Let's get to the actual PowerPoint, shall we? Is it MS or is it worms in your brain? And yes, that is not a typo. That is exactly what we're about to show you. This is a QR code. If you pull out your phone and scan it, you actually will be presented with our website, thedrardisshow.com, with a little pop-up window. Just put in your email and you will be notified in the future for every single presentation that I do. That's the convenience of this QR code. All right, let's look at the Cleveland Clinic. Let's first define what is MS. Multiple sclerosis. All right, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune condition that affects your brain and spinal cord, says the Cleveland Clinic. With MS, your immune system mistakenly attacks what's called myelin cells. These are the protective covers or sheaths that surround brain and spinal cord nerves. Any of you who have ever seen an electrical wire that has different colored plastic over it, that is the plastic on these electrical cords that protect you from touching the copper wire and getting shocked. The little insulation plastic that can be different colors actually is the myelin sheath for your nerve cells in your body. It's just this little insulation cover made up of fats primarily that protect the nervous system and speed up the it speeds up the transmission of signals to the rest of your organs in your body of how to function. Muscles, eyes, ears, legs, arms, feet are all controlled by nerve cells, and the healthy insulation cover them called myelin is what is being affected in the condition called MS, which is why you see so many varied symptoms. Per the Cleveland Clinic, is there a cure for multiple sclerosis? There is not currently a cure for MS. Well, that's not very much hope when it comes to your medical professionals and neurologists and those being diagnosed with this condition. How is multiple sclerosis treated? Multiple sclerosis treatment focuses on minimizing further damage, managing symptoms, and preventing complications. Your treatment plan may include medications, physical or occupational or speech therapy, and then mental health counseling. Why? Because there is no cure for MS. The medical profession, including the Cleveland Clinic, wants you to believe. Here are the most common oral medications prescribed to those with MS. And you can see the link to where we got this information down below. Here are the top 3 we're going to highlight in this presentation alone, but you see the top 5 named drugs. The first primary oral drug prescribed to those with MS is called teriflunomide. You all see the second is called dimethyl fumarate. The third is monomethyl fumarate. This is teriflunomide, and you'll see the brand name for any of you who have a loved one with MS or you yourself are. The actual name of the brand name of teriflunomide is Aubagio or Aubagio. I bet it's Aubagio. Now, let's look at the black box warning that comes with this drug prescribed to all MS patients in America. I quote, hepatotoxicity, liver toxicity is what is a published side effect of this drug for all MS patients. This is a clinically significant and potentially life-threatening liver injury. Okay, I want y'all to understand something. This is the black box warning of this drug. The FDA only puts black box warnings, stamps them on drugs, and requires that you are notified of this potential toxic side effect when it is life-threatening. And absolute, they know this is going to happen to a lot of people. Did you know that teriflunomide for MS patients is published to have a black box warning by the FDA? That it could create a potentially life-threatening, that means death, liver toxicity or injury, including acute liver failure requiring a transplant, has been reported in patients treated with teriflunomide. Ask your doctor if liver failure is right for your loved one diagnosed with MS and prescribed teriflunomide. This is the blood toxic common side effects outside of the black box warning for this MS drug. Up to 10% of people will see decreased white blood cell count, decreased neutrophil count, and leukopenia and neutropenia, lowered levels of immunity in their blood. Now you can't fight infections as well or recover fast. Very common. In up to 14% of all people, they will see elevated ALT levels in their blood work on their CBC panel. This will tell them that they have high liver trauma going on in their body. Cardiovascular side effects include up to 10% of all people on this drug will develop tachycardia from the drug, palpitations from the drug, and high blood pressure because of the drug. That's 1 in 10. Skin conditions, very common. 13% of people on this drug will lose their hair from a condition called alopecia. That's what it looks like. 13% of everybody on teriflunomide will develop alopecia and lose their hair. Did your medical doctor tell you that? Ask your doctor when they prescribe teriflunomide if alopecia might be right for you, or acne in 10% of all people. These are published at drugs.com for your reference. What about the genital or urinary systems? Did you know 10% or more people will develop urinary tract infections while on the drug? And it's caused by the drug? Did you know the immune system, they actually publish it is a very common side effect that 10% or more people on this drug will develop the flu. Did you know the flu was a side effect of teriflunomide? I thought you had to contract the flu. I didn't know that drug caused the flu. Did you know that oral herpes, fever, blisters, cold sores, is actually caused by teriflunomide in up to 10% of all people that take it? Sounds sexy, doesn't it? Did you know that over 10% of people will see decreased levels of phosphorus in their body, leading to kidney failure and dehydration, leading to decreased weight? Did you know that over 10% of all people, that is 22% exactly, will experience diagnosable headaches from the drug and paresthesia? Check this out. This is a multiple sclerosis drug called teriflunomide. Did you know that it is a common side effect that people who are prescribed this drug will develop multiple sclerosis? And 10% of all people that take the drug, they will have multiple sclerosis caused by teriflunomide. Ask your doctor if multiple sclerosis symptoms caused by teriflunomide and 10% of all people given that drug is right for you, MS sufferer. So any of you out there who are taking teriflunomide for MS and you are getting worse MS symptoms, did you know that 10% of everybody in the clinical trials with this drug developed worsening MS symptoms or more MS symptoms? Ask your doctor if more MS symptoms are right for you when they prescribe teriflunomide. How about this drug, dimethyl fumarate? Its brand name is Tecfidera. It's very common that over 40% of you will develop flushing, warmth, redness, itching, burning sensation all over your body. Did you know you'll break out with pruritus and alopecia in up to 10% of you who take dimethyl fumarate? And this is erythema. That's what it looks like. Ask your doctor if looking like that is right for you. Gastrointestinal. Did you know 18% of all people on dimethyl fumarate for MS will develop abdominal pain, and 14% of you will have diarrhea? Another 12% will feel like you're pregnant and you're nauseous with upper abdominal pain, with vomiting accompanying it, and 10% of all of you. Did you know that over 59% of you on dimethyl fumarate for MS, you will see decreased CD8 T cells, meaning you will now have worsening risk factors for cancer. You will develop all viral infections on earth and worsening pneumonia outcomes, flu, RSV, you name it, shingles. As you destroy these immune cells, they tell you here, 59% of all people with this drug will have, from clinical trials, decreased CD8 cells, and 37% will have decreased CD4 T cells. Do you know what that means? That means you will look and act and behave and feel like an AIDS patient. Decreased CD8 cells and CD4 cells are what the markers are describing the signs and symptoms of all AIDS patients. Ask your doctor if having lowered immune cells in the body that looks like every AIDS patient on earth is right for you when they put you on this drug. They even state that it's very common, 60% of all people in clinical trials on dimethyl fumarate for MS will be diagnosed with an infection, including serious infections and herpes zoster infections, which is shingles. Ask your doctor if shingles and more infections are right for you. There's your shingles on the face, and there is increased progressive, what is called PML, which is a reported side effect also of this drug. Progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy. Encephalopathy means swelling in the brain. And you can see the white portion of that brain scan before and after being given dimethyl fumarate. Ask your neurologist if increased brain pressure is right for you when they prescribe this drug. You'll also see on there after just look at the list of post-marketing reports. After the clinical trials, people that continue taking the drug, you see everything from shingles. You see everything. Herpes zoster is shingles. Herpes simplex, West Nile virus. Did you see that? West Nile virus in people taking this drug. Bacterial infections like listeria and candidal infections and tuberculosis. All worse in people taking this drug. Why? Because it destroys your immune cells, which we highlighted already. This is the third most commonly prescribed drug for MS. It's called monomethyl fumarate. Its brand name is Bafiertam. Its published side effects, 10% of all people have kidney dysfunction, represented by albumin urine present, protein in your urine. Nervous system, swelling of the brain. Immunological, herpes zoster, herpes simplex virus, TB, candida. West Nile virus is a side effect published after the trials have ended by taking monomethyl fumarate, those who took it. Pruritus, rash, erythema. Gastrointestinal, abdominal pain in 1 out of 5 people. Diarrhea in 1 out of 7 people. And nausea in 12% of all of you. Well, let's dive into what actually is multiple sclerosis. Is it multiple sclerosis or is it worms in your brain? This is going to be fun. All right. This is from a research trust. You can see the referenced website address below. This is a published article by this group. Nematode filarial worms in the cerebral spinal fluid of a multiple sclerosis patient at autopsy. They took a person with MS who died. They took their cerebral spinal fluid, which is the fluid in your brain and around your spinal cord, and they looked at it underneath the microscope, and they could see swimming in their brain fluid these worms called nematodes. Now, for reference, if this is the first time you've ever heard of nematode or need a reminding, nematode are roundworm parasites. They're the same parasite called heartworms in your dogs, cats, and your pets. And yes, every heartworm in a dog and cat, published by every veterinary clinic in America and around the world, those parasites called heartworms are transferable from every pet to every human. And that is why every parasitologist in the world says those whose entire career is studying parasite infections in animals and humans, they state 100% of all pet owners have parasites. Yet your medical doctors will tell you that parasites don't exist in America. That's what they're told in medical schools in America for over 100 years now. But if you go to the CDC's website right now, they tell you 90 million Americans, a third of all of Americans, have chronic illnesses caused by parasites like this one called nematodes. Well, multiple sclerosis patients, all of them have lesions showing up in their different brain scans. I'm about to show you several research studies where they were able to prove that those holes, those lesions in the brain, are being caused by worms, parasite worms called nematodes, eating the brain matter of the MS patient. So let's dive in. This is from 2016. Multiple sclerosis is classified according to a current nosology as a human neurodegenerative or demyelinating disorder. Remember the myelin, the insulation around your nerves, which is favored to be an autoimmune process. The actual cause of multiple sclerosis has not been agreed upon by medicine. Loss of myelin in the brain and spinal cord tissues is accompanied by diverse additional microscopic abnormalities in the plaques of MS patients. Subsequent investigation raised the possibility of chronic deep brain and spinal cord spirochetal infections. And you'll see the names of the researchers, Steiner, Eckelson, and Marshall, and others, as the de facto cause of myelin loss in MS patients. So they found spirochetes and other parasites living in the brains and spinal cords of these people. Herein is described image-based evidence. I'm about to show you images. Remember, if you're grossed out by worms, you might not want to look. It is described, we're going to show you image-based evidence for the detection of cerebral spinal fluid infection and infestation with worms, probably vectored by ixodid ticks to produce nematode cerebral spinal fluid infection, which is followed by worms, nematode invasion of the brain solids tissue, your brain tissue, to produce areas of myelin destruction, which typify the clinical and pathological or disease signatures of multiple sclerosis in the human. It is herein proposed that the worms enter the deep brain white matter regions via direct extension from your CSF fluid and their worm infestations, and that worms slough their outer sheath tissues as detritus. Now, as you're looking at this abstract taken from this research study done by Alan McDonald, MD, lead researcher, read the title, Nematode Filarial Worms in the CSF Fluid of Multiple Sclerosis Patients at Autopsy. What's the results? You will look at the screen, look at the results in the middle, look below. They actually put in the cerebral spinal fluid this radioactive substance that would light up with different fluorescence based on the different types of roundworm parasites found in the humans. And for every color you see, that is a different family or category of roundworm parasite. You see the green, you see the blue, you see the red, you see the white. Those are all different roundworm parasites. They all absorb different dyes, and you will see it show up. Let's go to the right where it says discussion. This case study is the very first in the world's scientific literature to link a parasitic infestation of human CSF fluid with concurrent multiple sclerosis, verified by autopsy. Previous reports of helminth infestations of the eye, like tapeworms and other roundworms, they've already found other studies where they found parasites infecting the eyes, brain, spinal cord, and the extracranial, outside of the brain, organs by helminth infections in veterinarian studies, and human patients are numerous. In 1880, Evans described sura caused by a trypanosome trypanosome, a parasite in India, in horses and mules with lumbar paralysis. So they had a parasite. It was making them paralyzed below their waist. In 1942, African sleeping sickness was linked to trypanosomiasis, a helminthic central nervous system parasite, as a group of disorders are vectored by blood-sucking insects, including ticks and mosquitoes. Exotic ticks have recently been added to the list of vectors of nematode worms. Japanese reports of the nematode cause and effect relationship between malaria lesions in the brain and spinal cord and nematode CNS infections were published in the year 1939. Multiple sclerosis in humankind is a malacia lesion. Because of the tissue-wandering behavior of nematodes, the worm may have moved beyond the area of malacia and subsequent to the production of trauma be found free in the cerebral spinal canal or cerebral vertebral canal. As you go further into this research study, you see more highlighted nematodes found in this one MS patient. Different colors, red, green, highlighting the various worms swimming in the brain and spinal cord of an MS patient. Their conclusions: unconcentrated cerebral spinal fluid from multiple sclerosis patients contain numerous nematode larvae, worms, eggs, and sloughed cuticle fragments. Injuries in the model of veterinarian CSF nematodes induced brain and spinal cord malacia lesions exactly replicate the pathology of human multiple sclerosis. What they found in animals is exactly what's being found in these MS patients. How to treat brain worms. Ready? This is going to be exciting. If you have a loved one diagnosed with plaques leading to MS symptoms, you might want to ask your doctor if your loved one has nematode parasites swimming around in their brain and spinal cord. This is from 2023, evaluation of the ovicidal activity, the egg-laying activity of the extract of ethyl acetate from Artemisia and herb, and of Artemisinin against adult parasites of the type called Facilio hepatica. They're going to be looking to see if a plant called Artemisia, which is actually also known as sweet wormwood, also does the same thing ivermectin does, which is a prescription drug. They're analyzing what's the activity of wormwood, Artemisia, against adult parasites and their egg-laying capabilities. And they discuss, in the groups treated with this drug called TZBZ and Artemisinin, 100% efficacy was observed from the first 24 hours at the two respective concentrations. So not only did sweet wormwood and this drug help kill the worms, but Artemisinin did it by itself. And they were both just as effective. And you can read about their actual differences here. They found an increasing, we're going to go to the bottom, they found an efficacy beginning to be seen in the first 24 hours of exposure to the worms and the adults and the egg laying of them with Artemisinin at concentrations of 500 milligrams, reaching almost 100% efficacy at 48 hours after exposing them to this. You'll see here, this is directly out of the research study, looking at these type of adult worms and using Artemisinin or a drug called TZBZ. TZBC, you'll see it 24 hours, 48 hours, and 72 hours, and Artemisinin the same with their different doses. I'm not going to read all of that, but let's read the conclusion here. Remember, you can download this entire presentation at the resources tab at the Dr. Ardis Show, so you can dive into and spend more time. The conclusion of this research study looking at Artemisinin extract and these adult worms called nematodes. The extract of Artemisinin, sweet wormwood, obtained from ethyl acetate has an ovicidal effect on this type of eggs created by these worms and is efficacious in killing the adult forms of the parasite. That's what they found. Eugonal. Now this is effective anti-helminth compound against foodborne parasites like Trichinella spiralis, muscle larvae, and the adults. This is in human beings. They want to know what is the benefit of an herb called eugonal or eugenol. Eugenol is commonly known as clove, just so you know. So we're looking at clove. How does clove and the essential oil help to beat these parasites? I'm going to start here. In the current study, the effect of clove on the viability of this larvae of this parasite was evaluated. They found clove reduced the viability of the larvae in a time and dose-dependent manner, and clove achieved a 100% efficacy of killing the larvae and the total larvae after 10 and 24 hours at concentrations of 1,218 and 3,045 micromoles, respectively. So either in 10 hours with the lower dose or 24 hours, it was completely killed. They did a lower dose and they found that death almost totally occurred also after only 24 hours at a lower concentration of clove. The viability rates of the larvae of the parasites decreased with prolonged exposure at lower concentrations of clove. And they show you here. The control is the group that they did not give clove to. So the amount of parasites they have larvae were in blue. You see from 1 hour to 24 hours, it stayed the same. But when they increased different amounts or measurements to the right in different colors of clove essential oil, they found within 24 hours, look at it, it didn't matter the dose, within 24 hours, 100%, just about 100% of all of these parasite larvae were completely killed by the various doses of clove. How can you beat a 24-hour time frame? Every single one of those doses worked. Didn't even matter the dose. Ask your doctor if clove is right for you. This is albendazole, and I want to show you this is a very common prescribed drug for parasites, including the ones they're talking about here. Albendazole, if you look at it, had the exact same rate of clearance of the parasite at 24 hours as all of the measurements given of clove essential oil. In fact, the highest dose of clove at 3 hours killed more than albendazole did. Ask your doctor if clove is right for you. And this is where they go through the worm count and how they proved the various amounts of clove were more effective even than albendazole, but also as effective as albendazole in all doses at 24 hours. In albendazole-treated groups, there were severe destruction of the larvae in the form of marked mild smoothing of cuticle annulation and multiple fissures in the cuticle. In the clove-treated group, there was severe destruction of the larvae with complete smoothing of all the tissues they were looking at that were affected by these parasites. Even better than the albendazole. Clove had a remarkable lethal effect on these parasites and adult forms in a dose-dependent manner. This significant lethal effect of eugenol on the adult and the parasite was shown in the highest concentrations at 1,218 and 3,045 micromoles at higher incubation time. These results were confirmed. And they give you the reasons how they confirmed them. And these results suggest that clove might potentially have therapeutic value in the early stages of human trichinosis. Now they're going to look at what is the benefit of a alcohol or ethanol leaf extract of Juglans regia on a specific type of parasite called Eschardia galli. All the tested concentrations of this herb showed a significant in vitro anti-helminthic activity. It killed the parasites. With levamisole exerting a greater effect than CEE, which is the plant herbs, against adult worms in terms of worm motility inhibition when compared to the negative control. The number of motile worms, those swimming in the body, exposed to different concentrations of these two herbs, continually decreased until 24 hours of exposure. There was no significant difference in the number of worms exposed with the drug, levamisole, or the plants they're highlighting in this research study after 12 hours of exposure and onward. That's the drug they used. And you'll see up there, this is derived, CEE is derived from the leaves of the plant called Juglans regia. Here they show you the worm counts destroyed by the plant at the various doses. Here they're going to actually highlight again. Last statement, both treatments reduced the worm count significantly. However, the plant, Juglans regia, also displayed a plausible anti-helminthic activity against this specific parasite, also found in humans. Oral administration of the plant at a single limit doses of 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 milligrams per kilogram caused no signs of toxicity or death in all treated chickens in this scenario during an observation period of 24 hours. No signs or symptoms, no side effects, and no death to any of the chickens treated. Based on the results of this present study, it can be concluded that the leaves of this plant tested in the form of crude ethanolic extracts showed significant in the lab and in the body anti-parasitic activity, particularly against this Aubagio parasite. They're going to get into the activity of garlic against these parasites in this research study. We'll let you read that. But it was proven that garlic, alongside two drugs, allicin or PZQ, significantly reduced the total egg counts in the tissues of people and these animals that had this parasite in them. After 56 days, there's the drug. Percent of total worm burden. If you look at the title of the columns, you'll see the preventative nature of garlic and then allicin, and they compare the two. And they are identical in their ability. In fact, garlic is better than the drug at reducing the percent of total worm burden in the animal or human. It was less at 21, and the drug was at 22. Allicin was just a little bit better. Garlic has anti-schistosomal effects as it upregulates nitric oxide production in blood platelets and macrophages that destroy the parasite. Garlic also contains mannose-binding lectins, which facilitate attachment of the parasite to the macrophage, the cells that kill it, allowing the macrophage to engulf and kill the parasite. Ask your doctor if garlic is right for you. It also reduced the egg count and killed off the female adult worms that lay all of those eggs. They also studied here, and I present to you in this PowerPoint, that there's another herb called Chinese rhubarb, and this one's important, and its ability to kill amoebas and parasites. And they compare this to a drug called metronidazole in 24 and 48 hours. There's the drug. And they found the rhubarb extract was just as potent as the drug at killing these. Now I want to show you, look at the top. You'll see the extract of rhubarb, and you'll see the drug metronidazole at 20 micromoles. I want you to look at the growth inhibition of the parasites. These are the two. One's using a plant, one is using a prescription drug. At 24 hours, the levels of reducing the growth rate of these parasites is almost identical, but at 48 hours, they are identical. So anybody being found to have parasites in their body, being prescribed Chinese rhubarb or metronidazole, did you know that the plant that doesn't require a prescription, called rhubarb, has the exact same ability to kill parasites at the exact same rate as prescription drugs, but without a prescription and no side effects? In E. coli bacteria, they also found that this plant rhubarb inhibits growth by impairing DNA repair, which is exciting when it comes to the shedding concerns of all people. Now, when it comes to parasites, what we recommend, anybody who's wondering if their loved ones with MS have either eggs being shed or parasites living in their body, you simply just need to do this test that we offer at the Dr. Ardis Show. It's our full GI panel, comprehensive stool test, and swab culture. When you click the green button on our product page, Purchase from PCI Wellness, it will direct you to parasitetesting.com's website, where you can, but it's a direct link to this one test. It's $284. If you put in the word ARDIS, all capitals, the number 10 exclamation point, you get 10% off of this kit. That'll save you almost $30. That's where you get the kit. All instructions are in there. Within 1 week, you will get your results in your email for all the parasites. Inside of that report, if it is found that you are positive for any of the parasites they're testing for, the major 4 types, we offer this parasite treatment kit also at the Dr. Ardis Show. If you use the same discount code, all capitals, ARDIS, the number 10 exclamation point, it'll take 10% off that $130 cost of this kit. Inside of this kit, Cleanse, Restore, and Freedom are the ingredients we just highlighted in these research studies. Garlic, wormwood, which is Artemisinin, clove, black cumin seed oil, Chinese rhubarb root, clove, Chinese rhubarb, and clove. All of these are found as individual ingredients, all proven in research studies to help kill the various forms of parasites all of us are confronted with. I'm Dr. Ardis. This is the Dr. Ardis Show. This is my Nigella sativa, black cumin seed oil in our biodefense. It's also why it works as a great adjunct or isolated product to address all parasites. Also inside of this, at a lower amount, is clove, which we just showed you is proven to kill all these parasites, which is very exciting. Don't forget our book, Moving Beyond COVID. You can scan that QR code to go to thedrardisshow.com and order that today for you or any of your loved ones struggling with long COVID or COVID-19. Remember, you can scan the QR code. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Dr. Ardis Show. I am Dr. Ardis. This is everything you need to know about MS. Is it MS or is it brain worms? I'm Dr. Ardis. We will see you next time on the Dr. Ardis Show.
Disclaimer. Please note, the following presentation is solely for informational purposes and should not be seen as a replacement for advice provided by your physician. It is important not to rely on the information from this presentation for diagnosis, treatment, medication prescription, or any other form of medical care. Always consult with your physician or healthcare professionals before taking any medication, nutritional supplement, herbal remedy, homeopathic treatment, or pursuing any health-related procedure. If you have a medical condition or believe you might have one, promptly contact your healthcare provider. Do not disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it based on this presentation's information as the products or services purchased from it do not establish a doctor-patient relationship between you and any affiliated physicians. Statements about dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.